Hey, what's up? Welcome to the AV Club podcast. My guest today is Samara Williams, but I call her Sam because we're friends and I'm allowed to. Sam is in the cybersecurity world and she has a specific role, and it's way more complex than that, but that's what I'm going to say for simplicity and because I really don't understand what she does. She told me I have an idea, but yeah, not my ballpark. And she'll tell you all about it in the episode, and I'm super excited because she gives us practical tips on how to be more safe in our everyday lives with social media and just everyday lives. We also get into a little bit of her personal story, and it's freaking awesome because I've been wanting to hear this from her, and I'm glad we were able to get it on podcast and share it with you guys. And so here is Sam Williams. Good morning, Sam. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing real good. What are you drinking? What kind of coffee is that?
Coffee.
I know it's coffee. What is it?
Any type of coffee. I don't even care. It's called Sunny Roasts. We have a really good cafe. Well, it's a chain. It's a franchise, right? It's not like this mom and pop cafe, but It's called Sunny Street Cafe. And it's real good. So I love the coffee.
I was looking it up just now. Actually, the coffee festival is coming up. Are you gonna go?
Yeah. No, we can't. We did get a babysitter for the kids, right? But it was only for like date nights, right? I don't know how I feel just yet about taking a day from her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Next week there's an OSU football game Jess and I might go to, and maybe that'll be our first day, But no, the coffee fest here is amazing.
Yeah, I thought we were going to be able to go. I'm pretty bummed that we're not going to make that.
Yeah. Well, we have other plans when you guys are out here for Halloween and whatnot. Rocky Horror Picture Show. Did Taylor tell you about that?
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I've heard good things about that. Have you've seen it before?
Oh yeah, we went. So this would be my third or fourth time seeing it. So when we were in San Antonio, we went and saw it as well, and then found a really nice theater up here that we could watch it too.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm excited.
So it'll be your first time? It'll be your first time? Oh, okay.
First time.
Some theaters put a V on your forehead for virgin if it's your first time. I don't think this one does, though. Okay, unfortunately.
Good. Yeah. Sam, explain to people what it is that you do in your profession, because I know a little bit about it, but I also want to know more. So go ahead.
I'll try to keep it as brief as possible, because it's pretty complicated.
Okay.
But so essentially, I work in the cybersecurity field. That's what I tell random strangers, right? But in my particular domain, I work on the preventative side, right? So you have, you've got the people who are trying to stop it, right? We're all trying to stop it, but there's other people who are also testing, right? So pen testers, hackers, they're the ones who act like threat actors and try to attack a company, right? Some people say that's preventative. I think it's more of a sort of a checks and balances almost, right? And then there are the people that detect activity, right? So I think of that as more of a reactive, right? Something's happening, so you do something about it. So what my disciplines are called, so I'm the manager of my own little empire at this point, right? Because by the end of the year, I'll have 14 people on my team.
That's awesome.
It's a lot. It's definitely a lot. A huge responsibility. But half of those people are dedicated to vulnerability management, which is essentially, you have software vulnerabilities, hardware vulnerabilities. We have a tool that we use to monitor and check on those vulnerabilities, and we work with other teams to patch them, right? So every time your computer has an update, it's likely fixing some sort of functionality or software vulnerability.
Right.
And then on the other side is threat intelligence, and that's the really preventative aspect, where we are constantly doing research on different threat actors and how they're exploiting environments, and then we sort of analyze data coming into our environment, as well as our current controls and stuff, to see if we could actually defend against those threat actors. So it's super challenging, right? Because vulnerability management, especially for a company like Cardinal Health, over 50,000 assets and they're all different operating systems. And
Right.
It's really hard to stay on top of. And all the threat actors need is just one vulnerability to exploit. Right. And we have, I'm not going to say the number because that is more private, obviously, but we have a lot. I'll just say that.
Right.
So, yeah. And then, trying to prove that you've prevented something is extremely hard as well.
Yeah, I bet. So like, how do you, when it comes to doing research, how do you do research on something that's active? And if you know what I'm saying? Like if you're trying to prevent people and there's new ways at all times, how do you, how do you even do that? That's so.
Well, money rules the world, right? So what I love about cybersecurity is that there's a lot of open source. So just things on the internet, people that are super collaborative, sharing different tips, tricks, skill sets, tool sets.
That's cool.
So there are different groups that you could be a part of. Generally, you're invited to them and they share different things that they're seeing. So we call it in the wild, right?
Right.
But there are also obviously commercial people who have monetized these skills, right? So we leverage different feeds and enrichment sources, but we also have a dark web monitoring service. And these are people who are legitimately hired to act as though they are threat actors. They can speak Russian and Spanish and all German and all this stuff. And they're in those deep and dark web forums, conversing with people and, learning about what's going on right now. So we get a lot of intelligence from them. So the biggest thing I guess I could say is with a threat intelligence program is part of it is consuming that intelligence. So all that stuff I said, we consume that, we analyze it. And then the other one is generating intelligence. So taking the intelligence we've consumed, comparing it to our internal controls, processes, procedures, and then generating intelligence, actionable intelligence, right? This is what we need to do. These are our recommendations. So
that's
pretty challenging.
Sounds challenging. And this is a pretty relatively new role for you, right? How long have you been in this current position?
So manager of both of these disciplines, I would be 1 year in November. Man, it's flying by. Yeah, but prior to that, I was sort of the senior engineer responsible for building the threat intelligence function. So when I came over and started to manage vulnerability management, really I thought it was boring in the beginning, but now it's still kind of boring. But there are aspects to it, right? When you look at it big picture, that you can really create or produce effective change and really in that space. So it's a unique, there's not a lot of companies that put vulnerability management and threat intelligence together. So we're finding unique ways to have those teams collaborate, right? Threat modeling is one of those places. So
that's very fascinating. Sounds very
cool
complicated.
Job.
Yeah, I bet. I did not. So whenever I first met you, I had no idea this is what, and of course, I'm not going to know your profession without asking you, but did you go to school for this? Is this something you went to school for? Or is this something that kind of branched off of your, like a first job and then started spiraling from there?
No, I kind of fell into it, to be honest. So, I went to UMHB. That's where Daniel went. That's where, his big sister went. That's where I met his big sister. So, it was all about basketball in the beginning, dude, So I didn't really give a shit about my degree plan or anything like that. But 2 years in, when I realized that basketball was not going to be like my life, I started to really look at the curriculum there, and I was just like, man, I don't even know what I'm going to do with this, right? I always knew I was going to be like businesswoman, corporate America. I have a small entrepreneurial bone in my body somewhere, right? I haven't found it yet. But I once I moved back to Texas, right after all that drama and whatnot that happened, my mom actually worked for a chair of the information security and assurance. It was like a new, I can't believe it was new, but it was a new program within Northwest Vista in San Antonio, Texas. And she was like, give this a shot. And so I did, right? I did. And I got one of those certifications. It's actually extremely hard to get into cybersecurity for whatever reason, right? I think there's a lot of elitists in our field. I'm not one of them. I'm happy to bring on anybody, but when I have the money, obviously. But anyway, so I sort of fell into it and kind of fell in love from there. It really it meshed really well with my personality. Just general paranoia and social and situational awareness. So yeah, I mean, I love it. I'm not going anywhere.
That's
Staying
awesome.
in this field forever.
Were you were you intimidated by it at first? Because it seems as if, just off the top, for me, it seems like cybersecurity, I have to have, this degree, and I have to know this and that to be able to excel in that. And then, I mean, it seems like obviously you had a degree, but you're excelling to levels you probably didn't know you were going to reach this quickly.
Honestly, yeah, no, absolutely. So to your original question, yes, it's extremely daunting. There's everything to know. You can know everything and nothing all at the same time, right? But the sooner you realize that, the better. The sooner you realize I'm not going to know everything. There are other, subject matter experts that I can reach out to and learn from. Then you're sort of better off. But people always come to me, what should I work on? Right? What should I work on? I was like, well, that depends. There's so many different areas within cyber, right? So I was extremely fortunate, right? So I worked at Accenture. I was just in general sort of IT, which I was really happy with, but the end goal was always, cybersecurity. So I was like applying everywhere at one point, just trying to get my name out there. And I saw this job in Columbus, Ohio, right? And when I worked for Accenture, I used to fly out to Dayton, Ohio, and I was like, this is chill as hell. I'd never been to Ohio. It's one of those flyover states you don't think about, right?
Right.
All you hear about is Cleveland because of LeBron at that point. So I was like, this seems pretty chill. And I remember like it was yesterday. I looked over to Jess and I was like, should I apply for this job? And she was like, what's the worst that gonna happen? And like that's the whole like takeoff point, right? Because I got the job and I had to move within a month. So we moved within a month. Well, I moved in a month, and then we were getting married in 3 months. So Jess stayed there. It was crazy. Like she planned the whole wedding. I didn't do anything. I didn't do a single thing. Okay. All I did was fly down, get married, and fly back. So she eventually met me up here. But the program that I had applied to that was in Columbus was a glorified internship, right? Or essentially, you're paid to rotate through 7 different companies in their cybersecurity departments, right? Learn from them. At the end of the program, which is about 2 years, the companies can pick somebody from the program, whoever they want to offer a job to. So I had a few offers, but I had landed on one of them. But so essentially, when I started that program, it was extremely overwhelming.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, I sort of had a guide because each company provided a different space you could work in. But it was only 10 weeks, 10-week rotations. So trying to absorb all of that information, at once was really tough. But what I noticed, being the only female and the only like minority, essentially, everybody surrounding me was a white male. And for lack of a better phrase, they were waiting for things to come to them. Right. But I realized I was in a unique position to take advantage of the fact that CISOs and CIOs knew about me, this little old intern, right? Because they had to invest in the program in order to enter it, right? So I started meeting with all the CISOs because I quickly realized that Columbus, Ohio, and really, honestly, any information cybersecurity community is extremely small. Everybody knows everybody. So I just started talking to people and like building my network, and it's done great things for me since. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm super impressed. I don't know. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about your TEDx presentation, because I've seen that a couple of times. The first time, obviously, just because I know you, I'm a fan of you, and I wanted to support and watch it.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
The second too is because of this. I wanted to like listen to it and see what you said and kind of prepare. It's titled "Keep Your Shit Safe," right?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yes.
Right out of the gate is what you said. Hey, for those of you listening, look it up on YouTube. It's really good. It's really good information. How did that come about? That whole opportunity to do the TEDx talk?
Yeah.
That's pretty big time.
Yeah, I'm telling you, build your network, because it was actually one of the people I consider to be a sponsor. He's actually my leadership coach now, who just thought of me for that opportunity. And man, that was November of 2019. So it was a good 2 years ago. I was only really three and a half years deep in
Yeah.
cyber. And I'm just like, I'm not fucking qualified to do a TEDx on saying, you know what I'm saying? But he was like, it's not about your experience, it's about your energy.
Yeah.
Right. So he thought about me and thought about, who could deliver a message. And so he hit me up and he was like, look, I have this opportunity. You can, he was very good and didn't want to give me any imposter syndrome, because he didn't tell me it was a TED thing. Okay. First of all, but he was like, I need you to do this 5-minute talk for, I don't know, 400 people. And, when you hear that, you're just like, what do you
Yeah.
mean? Do what, who, what, when, where, why? And he was like, well, you need to tell them everything that they need to know about cybersecurity in 5 minutes. And I was just like, how? You know what I mean? Like, what?
Yeah.
There's no way. There's not a single way. But he was like, it's general public, right? And that made it a little easier, because I needed to
Yeah.
not dumb it down, but keep it simple, right?
Mhm.
And it turns out it was closer to 800 people. So I think he was, burying the lead a little bit there.
Dang.
I mean, the auditorium was filled. I mean, I don't know if it was sold out, but it was definitely full. And I actually got the opportunity to get some coaching from like a TED. I think because TEDx is like a franchise where you can do different cities.
Mhm.
I think she's like the lead organizer, and she was actually my speaking coach. And
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
asked her, because I was completely lost at first, started building a ton of outlines. I knew I wanted it to be a story, and I knew I wanted it to connect to the everyday person.
Yeah.
So I don't know when or how it clicked, right? But all I remember is that when I started in cybersecurity, the way I was raised was extremely helpful, right? Because my mom was always, I walked home from school as a latchkey kid, so she was like, always look in cars, right, that are parked on the side of the road. Is there someone in there? You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so situational social awareness. So I was like, well, what can I tie cybersecurity to that will help it click for other people? So I went with physical security, because that's what's something everyone does. They always lock their doors. You know what I mean? So and then I asked my leadership coach. I was like, not my leadership coach, my speaking coach at the time. I was like, can I curse? Because I am incredibly nervous, and that's something that just makes me feel comfortable,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? I know when I curse with somebody, it's because I feel comfortable with them.
Mhm.
And she's like, hell yeah. So that's when I decided to title it "Keep Your Shit Safe," because it's 5 minutes, right? I need to keep them engaged, and I need to catch them from the beginning.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I thought that was the best way to do it. So.
Yeah, it definitely was. I think you are a really good person for an opportunity like that, because you're just engaging. You're personable, and you make people feel,
Appreciate that.
yeah, yeah, of course. And I mean, it sounds like I'm sucking up, but
You're good, man.
I'm being honest. Like, it's from the moment I met you, I'm like, oh shit, she's there. Yep. She's there.
Yeah, I
She's
have
like,
a presence.
yeah.
I've definitely, yeah, I've heard that. I actually take a lot of personality tests and like leadership. I've
Yeah.
taken a leadership assessment. It's not cheap stuff, but I love to learn about myself, and
Hmm.
maybe I'm self-absorbed. I don't think I'm narcissistic. I'm not that far ahead, but I do. I'm just obsessed with my own personal growth,
Yeah.
right? And one of my personality traits is called a woo, which is WOO, win others over. And it's
Mm.
essentially like first impressions, just being good at first impressions. And so I once you learn about yourself, you see what to leverage.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Yeah,
And then you see what you need to
yeah,
work on, right? That's awesome.
exactly.
That's super
Yeah,
cool. Yeah, it was a great talk. It was like a 5-minute
thanks.
speech, and it was super engaging the whole time, and I understood everything. And at first I was like, oh man, am I gonna understand this? But you nailed it.
Yeah,
Like, you
thanks.
knocked that one out of the park, which is super cool. And I really recommend people go watch that. Yeah, keep your shit safe on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. But
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, so
Hmm.
you went over a lot of it in your TEDx speech, but what are some things like that just average people, me or somebody, just a few, I guess. Sounds like there's a ton. But like, what are like the main things, like an everyday person, like say somebody listening to this conversation, what do they need to do with, like, let's just start on social media. Everybody's on social media. What are some things that they could do to help keep their security up to par?
Yeah. So social media is a amazing way to manipulate people, right? So it's called social engineering. I don't know if you've heard of that before. Essentially, people just leveraging people to get what they want, right? Or to do something for them. And there's a lot of misinformation too. 2016 election with Russia. I actually have a friend over at Facebook, and he leads their entire misinformation department, which is super interesting, but also extremely stressful when you really dig into it. But keeping your privacy settings, I mean, lockdown. So think about the creepiest person you can ever think about, and think about them on a website looking at your Facebook profile. What do you want them to see, right? You can even get as crazy as a serial killer or a pedophile. What do you want them to see on your profile when they click on it, right? Do you want them to see your kids? Do you want them to see where you live, where you work, any of that stuff? Sorry, my phone's ringing.
It's okay.
So lock that stuff down. There's no reason for anybody, if they know you, they should add you, and you should add them. And that's it, right? Also adding people, right? Do you know them? So I'm actually guilty of this, right? My Twitter is wide open. I do that purposefully because I'm weighing my risks, right? I'm obsessed with my network and meeting new people, whether it's cyber or other industries. But at the same time, I know how not to be an idiot, not to be like rude, right? But that's a part of it, right? Just like use your head, think about things before you do them, like it's a mindset switch, right? And call it paranoia, call it hypervigilant. But it is, right? It's just one of those things that you kind of have to do. I constantly telling people, do not get on public internet. Do not get on public internet. Do not get on public internet. I would love to, in that TEDx, I really wanted to kind of dig in and really give people FUD, which is fear and unreasonable doubt. So I could get on a computer and I could sit in a shopping center, right? Because most Wi-Fi can reach out, I don't know, what is it, 150 feet or something? So sometimes you go to places, you have things built, like a restaurant next to a Starbucks, next to a library, next to something else, right? So if you found the perfect spot to just sit there are tools which are free on the internet, 100% free, where you can listen to that traffic, right? And you're not essentially listening to it, but you have a terminal open that is picking up what people are doing, right, on this Wi-Fi. And if you aren't careful, you aren't using a VPN, or you aren't on a trusted site that's taking care of your information, you can get plain text passwords, right? Just coming across the wire. Let me just copy and paste that, right? And we know everybody does it. Even I do it for bullshit accounts. I use the same password, right? I have a shitty password for bullshit accounts, right?
Something quick
Sign
and
up
easy.
for Nike or something stupid, right? Yeah, absolutely. You're not supposed to do that, obviously, but we all do it because we have to sign into a million things just to live our lives, right? So that's just an example. Stay off of public internet. Use a VPN, and obviously have better passwords. 14 characters or more, capitals, lower cases, symbols. I know I talked about Sandra Bullock in there, which is still extremely accurate. But lately what I've been doing too is taking an entire sentence, taking the first letter from each word, and then sticking it in that password, right? So, I mean, you could think of anything. Taylor and Aaron are going to Columbus, Ohio on October this, right? So you take the first letter and then, change up some things, and then it's easier to remember at that point, right? Or you just have a long ass password with like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, but make it something memorable, and don't write it down. Don't write it down. Don't put it in your phone. Those are essentially the basics. There was another one I wanted to put in there, and it was going up against a VPN, and it's missing me right now. But a lot of the time, what I tell people is just think before you do, right?
Yeah.
Just like you would anything else.
Hmm.
Um, there are super creepy people out there, very malicious
Yeah.
individuals.
I was scrolling through Twitter and I saw your account. You had tweeted something, and I clicked on your profile. I was like, what's her Abby? And then I clicked on it, and it was you, your wife, and your kids, but your kids' faces are blurred out. And I was like, oh shoot. And I was going to ask you about that, but you answered it already with what you want people to see, and that's not something you want people to see.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So another thing I was going to ask you is that, like you said, your Twitter is wide open. My Twitter, I don't remember if it's wide open or not, but I know my Instagram is open and I know my Facebook is open. And that's simply because obviously I have like a brand that I'm trying to start, and you want eyes on it, of course. But what are some of the ways that you could, like, quote unquote, not be an idiot on there? Like, you know what I'm saying? Absolutely. Like, just for the people who are listening, just so that they know and could use that advice and put it into practical and actual use.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So I think there's two sides of it, right? You trying to build your brand, I think you need to be a little bit more meticulous about what you're doing, right? So if people add you, pay attention to who's adding you. Maybe even go through that list every so often to who's actually active, right? I don't know. I mean, the AV Club, I was just telling Jess yesterday that if, you have so many options with that name, and you could go in like a bunch of different places. So that was super, super smart of you. Because even just like audio video company, media, you know what I mean? Setting up things for people. Anyway, so so keeping track of who's following you, keeping track of even what you're posting too, to be honest. And maybe you only keep content on there for 30 days because some of it is reusable at that point as you get new followers and stuff, right? Starting conversations is another one. That's another way to build your brand, but you have to be careful with it, obviously, right? So just an example, because I have somewhat of a brand. It's just me that I'm trying to build, right? Although my leadership coach says I should trademark "keep your shit safe," and I'm starting to think maybe I should, but
you should.
Yeah, the other day I had posted on Twitter, and I was like, I will help. So essentially, I will help anyone in cybersecurity, right? That's what the first line said. But I will especially help women, right? I had all of these dudes hit me up talking trash, right?
Yeah.
Always dudes they were trolls, right? And I looked at their profiles, and it was really hard to tell if they were actual people. Obviously, they're not bots or anything because they were conversing with me. But if their picture that they actually had was actually them or something like that,
right.
Just keeping track of who's watching you, to be completely honest. And then if you aren't building a brand, you just have your stuff open. First of all, there's no reason for that. And then second of all, you really need to be conscious of what you're posting and what you're saying and what people might know about you.
Right.
And generally, people who are getting into cybersecurity, I have them do a little exercise where they get on the internet and they use some tools that I, tell them about to just research themselves. In your mind, act like somebody who is trying to take advantage of you, and look on the internet and see what you can find about yourself. And then think about how you would take advantage of yourself, right? So for example, if you Google my name, you'll see LinkedIn, you'll see Twitter, right? You'll see some of the talking stuff that I put out there. You'll see that I used to play basketball, right? So just from that information, you could probably put together a phishing email, right? Click on this link for free basketball tickets. I don't know. That's not as sophisticated. Or, I'm trying to hook up with you to get you on my podcast. Fill out this sheet with some information so I can hit you up. You can get my cell phone number. You can get all this stuff, right? If I were to actually fill that out for another speaking opportunity. So yeah, I know that's a lot, but there's much more.
No, I believe that there's a ton more, and that's really good information for people, and especially for me. Like that's a really good idea. I never thought about like 30 days recycling posts or anything like that. I do have like it's not like I'm getting hundreds of followers like a day, but I do have enough to where I could probably go through it and check and be like, oh, okay, this guy's, you're out of here. That's smart.
Right.
I haven't thought of that actually, or the recycling post thing. That's good. That's good insight. So
Yeah.
thank you for that.
I mean, you get big enough too, you get people to do that for you, right?
Right.
So, but social media is the new way to connect with people, across the United States or whatever. I was thinking about how I joined Twitter like a year ago, and my followers have increased a lot just because I talk to people.
Right. Yeah.
And they, yeah.
Your Twitter's good, by the way. I like your tweets.
Thank you. Yeah.
Shout out. What's your Twitter? Shout it out real quick so people can see it.
Well, it's Samara. So SAMAR, and then it's 3 A's, AAAR, capital R, W. And it's
good stuff. Simple. Don't follow if you're a weirdo though.
Yeah, nah.
Let's transition into something a little more personal for you. So you're a new mom. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
How has that been transitioning to not just to a marriage with just you and your wife to you now have 3 kids? Well, how has that been with work and with literally every aspect?
Man, it's such an adjustment. It has literally changed every aspect of my life.
Yeah.
Right. Mostly for the better, with the exception of I would really just like to take a shit in peace. You know what I mean? Like just the simplest stuff, right?
Yeah.
You just want to, thankfully they're at school, right? So yeah, now I can actually get some things done and be alone and in my own thoughts. But
yeah.
So in every aspect, like I said, in my relationship, it's improved, right? Before, Jess and I were just up each other's ass 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
We never had an opportunity to miss each other. Now we do, right? So now that quality time, it means even more at this point, right? We even feel closer kind of going through this together as well, right? Because it's tough. Yeah. It's absolutely tough. Just the volume of children as well. And like the amount of energy and just having to be at 100 most of the day. And just all the responsibilities, like taking them to the doctor and shit. But anyway, I don't even take myself to the doctor half the time, and I took on 3 kids. So but then also like with my health, I lost like a ton of weight in the process, right? Some of it from stress, but also others from activity too, and just being up and around and playing and going to the park and just keeping them active kept myself active, right? So another plus. And then, I don't watch as much TV or do as much like monotonous, not important things.
Yeah.
Now my time, I have to be extremely intentional with my time.
Yeah.
Now, right. So just like with Jess, the time that I get by myself to be able to watch my shows and take like 30 minutes, it just means more.
Yeah.
So, but it's been kind of crazy.
Yeah, I bet. That's so. How was that process? So like, let's talk about the I guess the adoption process. How was that? I knew it took a while for you guys, and well, compared to some cases, it didn't take very long, but it was still a journey for you guys. So what was that like?
Yeah. So in the very beginning, you find an agency, right? And it was extremely important for us to find an agency. We're not just some white heterosexual couple, right? We're, homosexual, interracial, young female, you know what I mean? So we really were, again, intentional about finding the right agency for us. And we did, thankfully, Open Arms Adoption. They're amazing. And that took a little while, right? Because there's 40 something in Ohio. And we just went through and started doing some research on all of them. I mean, to be completely honest, we took out the religious ones, like ones held by Catholic churches and stuff. Right. We're not even going to try that. Not even going to try.
Smart.
But the other ones, exactly. The other ones, we just, and we weren't doing international, we were doing domestic. We were still trying to figure out between infant and foster care, right? Yeah. But from our perspective, we haven't proved that we can't have kids, because we're 2 feet, we have 2 wombs, right? One doesn't work, try the other one, right? But,
right.
So we, give that a try. But so we eventually landed on foster care, and we had like a top 5 to 10 agencies, and we started just spraying emails out. And the reason that we picked the one that we picked was because of how responsive they were. Jess and I know ourselves. We know how many questions we have. We know that we need that instant gratification. So the fact that they were responsive to us with good information, that's the reason we picked them. So after that, you go through all this paperwork, then you go through all of this training. And then once you're finally approved, you get this gigantic, it's essentially a checklist of characteristics you'll be willing to take on. And it's got everything from autism to lighting shit on fire to accused of sexual assault to like homosexuality to all of this stuff, right? Dang. And you're just like, man, it's extremely daunting.
Yeah.
Right?
Probably
because
stuff you don't even think about, right?
No, absolutely not. Like a feeding tube through the nose or through the abdomen.
Wow.
Autism, and there's different levels of autism that you can accept and all of this stuff. And essentially our agency said, be more open and closed off, right? Yeah. Because unfortunately, the system, certain foster parents will have their kids go through different tests and stuff because the more things that are wrong with the kids, the more money foster parents get paid, right?
Dang.
So yeah, it's pretty unfortunate. So for instance, if we would have said no to like ADHD or something like that, or even autism, right? One of our kiddos was tested for both. And we wonder if we wouldn't have even had the opportunity because if we would have been closed off to that.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. So anyway, once we filled all that out, the agency starts to reach out and it's just like, hey, would you be open to these kids? Da, 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 da. And you get put on this, not list, but top 3 parents for a kid, right? And it's crazy because the kid has no idea about you, but you know about them, right? And and then your brain starts to go through all these fantasies of what it would be like and whatnot. So there was a couple times where we reached out and it's just so much, it's a roller coaster ride of emotions.
Yeah.
And, so we finally, it was like, oh gosh, it's like 4 different times where we had to go through some sort of roller coaster. And then we finally got an email because originally we were only open to 2 kids, right? And our adoption director was like, hey, would you ever consider 3? And we're just like, what?
Yeah.
It was really hard for Justin and I to just say no without knowing anything about them.
Yeah.
Especially because we trusted our adoption director.
Yeah.
And if she thinks that we would be a good couple for 3 kids, we should at least hear her out. Right.
Yeah, of course.
So we went through it. We read their, they put together like this little autobiography for parents to read through and stuff. And the personalities matched up really well, which they do currently, right? So that was nice that it came to fruition. But we were like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's do it. Right? We just couldn't be like, what if we would have gave up on that? Right? We could still be waiting. Some people who don't open themselves up to things are waiting for 2 years to be contacted about kids.
Yeah.
So it ended up us being, one of the top 3 parent groups, couples. And the agency, actually, Alabama, the caseworker, social worker, amazing. Alabama system itself, I don't know. But oh gosh. So they actually said, you know what? All three parents were from Open Arms Adoption. So they said, director, caseworker, you guys choose who the best parents are. And they actually ended up choosing us. I think partly because so our kids are Black. I have a feeling that the other parents may have been like Caucasian or something. And we are kind of blended, right? And then we don't have any kids.
Right.
So our adoption director was just like, hey, you don't have any kids, you don't have any predisposition about what parenting should look like, right? And that's essentially what these kids need, is to build structure and have somebody, cater their parenting style to the kids themselves. So once we got chosen, oh man, that waiting period was brutal.
Yeah.
I think it was about 4 months just to get everything together. And then the transition itself was very bad. So generally parents go visit the kids on like a respite basis on a weekend or something. You hang out together. And we didn't meet the kids until the day we got them, essentially.
Right. Yeah.
The kids didn't find out about us until the morning that we got them. So big change. But like I said, thankfully, personalities meshed really well. That first week we stayed in Alabama with them, we just led with gentle, didn't even really discipline or anything like that because we needed to build trust and comfort. Got on a plane with them, which was terrible.
Yeah.
It was terrible. Flying, traveling in general kind of sucks, right?
Right.
Doing it with kids is a whole nother level. And the boys are nervous pukers, and we had these bags that they can puke in. We actually bought them ahead of time. Because they've never been on a plane. I remember my first plane ride was when I was 6. That shit's scary. You're just in the air. Like, what?
It is scary.
You're like in the sky. When I think about it now, I'm still, kind of nervous. The Hawaii trip that I took, I was just like, fuck, I'm going to be in the air for like 9 hours. Like,
I was miserable.
What? Oh yeah. You motion sickness. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I can't read or anything. So yeah, that was the whole thing. But once we got home, we started laying some ground rules, putting our foot down, and a lot of adjustments came with that.
Yeah.
Right. So we go through different phases and different times where we start to level up on them, but they're extremely adaptable kids. Crazy adaptable kids.
Yeah.
They're also super sweet and crazy funny. So it's all working out really well.
That's so cool. How do they take to new people? Are they pretty accepting and to new people?
So the 4-year-old is a girl. She's an extrovert. She loves people. She will talk to strangers. Like, we went to a trampoline park the other day, and she was just talking to this woman, right? And I go up to the woman, I'm like, what is she saying to you? You know what I mean? And the woman was like, I don't know. Like, sometimes she just speaks nonsense. She's just talking to talk, right? And she still has a little bit of an Alabama thing going on, so I don't think people up here really get it or understand her. No, she's great with visitors. She actually goes through a little honeymoon, but before she starts being herself, which is a very strong-willed, stubborn child. But she's a lot of really great qualities that we just need to shift the energy a little bit, make it more positive energy than negative. And then the middle kid, he's 6, and he is just very oblivious, but I don't mean that in a negative way. Sometimes it is, but he could be completely fine in his own world and not see any people around him, which is really interesting because you think about the defense mechanisms that they've started to put up being around other kids in foster care. And it was really weird because in the beginning one of them would be crying and the other two were just like fine, you know what I mean? But it's like they're able to block it out because they're just used to it. It's probably a kid always crying in a foster home,
right? Yeah.
So anyway, so he can but once he warms up to you, he's like super funny. He dances in public, does not care who's watching. We were at the barbershop yesterday because they have picture day tomorrow, and he was digging the music, just dancing in the middle of the barbershop.
That's awesome.
Yeah, loves to sing but isn't very good. But he's super, super funny and just super silly, loves to crack jokes and play jokes on people. So you'll have a lot of fun with them. And then so the 7-year-old, the oldest, he takes to visitors the hardest.
Yeah.
He's always in his head. He's crazy, crazy, crazy smart, super good with his hands. But I think his intelligence gets the best of him sometimes.
Yeah.
His anxiety is off the charts.
Yeah.
Right. He makes a mistake and he feels it physically. You know what I'm saying? So when visitors come around, he's just like, oh, are they gonna like me? Da, 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 da. When the truth is, he is the sweetest kid. He is like a little gentleman too, right? And like loves to be helpful. And anybody who meets him, despite some of his shortcomings, he is a great kid.
Yeah.
Right. But he doesn't know that. So working through a lot of stuff, but we've had some visitors, mostly people on my side of the family, and they've done great after a day and a half.
Yeah.
They start to warm up after that. So
that's awesome. How has being a mom changed you? Like not at home, but like out in the world, out in the wild.
Yeah. Out in the wild. So, I was really scared in the beginning that it was going to change me completely. Right. I'm like, am I never gonna, talk about extremely vulgar things like I usually do anymore and stuff, but really now I just let the fucks fly when the kids aren't around because I'm
Yeah.
just happy to be free. So no, so in the wild, let's see, I think the biggest thing that I talk to people about is how I look at people in general, right? So the training, these kids, adults are just large traumatic children, right? Or traumatized children, I should say. And so they and basically when they were growing up, it wasn't like cool to talk about therapy and stuff like that. So 9 times out of 10, they didn't deal with their shit. You know what I mean? So, and it's a mindset change where you look at somebody and you're like, man, you're an asshole. Instead of saying what's wrong with you, you say what happened to you. Like that joke where people are like, who hurt you, man? But legitimately, who the fuck hurt you? You know what I mean? It's for real. It's like true. So that's a big one. I don't think it's made me more patient, but I do think it's made me just analyze situations differently and how I approach them differently.
More understanding almost like.
Yeah, absolutely. I still have high expectations, but I'm more understanding.
Right. That's good. I've heard that having kids makes you exactly what you said, kind of think of them as like a child almost, like, oh, this is just a kid who maybe went through some things and hasn't worked them out, like you just said. That's crazy, because like that's almost a unanimous thing people say across the board whenever they have children. That's wild.
Well, and what's even crazier about it, and you kind of got me on this whole like philosophical kick and shit, but in during the adoption process, they encourage you to deal with your own shit, right? Because you're getting traumatized kids who need to deal with their shit, and you can only take your kids as far as you've gone, right? So Jess and I are in therapy and all this stuff, but when you think about regular Joe Schmo, heterosexual couples who've had their own kids, who, everybody's traumatized in some way, right? But some more severe than others. If that parent hasn't dealt with any of their shit, they can only take their kids so far. Right. What if that kid actually goes through some stuff, right? And that's actually probably some of the topics Jess and I talk about in therapy, right? Because both of our parents have kind of been through stuff, but they haven't been able to take us as far as they've been, because they're not gay and haven't been traumatized by racist and prejudiced people and stuff. So it's pretty crazy. It's like a big old cycle-ish bullshit.
No, that's true. I think relating that to me, it's like I see how obviously my parents didn't go to any sort of counseling or therapy, and not that we had a hard life or anything, but it's just it hasn't extended past what they have given us, because it's not something we know to do, which is so wild. Because if you really think about it, kind of going off of what you said, if you don't deal with your shit and you're about to receive 3 children to take care of, then some of that shit's going to fall into their shoulders too, and then it's just going to be, that's crazy.
Well, and it's I go through these conversations right now with my own family members where I feel myself projecting my feelings onto my kids, right? I don't want my kids to feel that way, so I don't want. But the truth is, like, the relationship is completely different because it's 2 different people, right? And we're all wired and differently in our brains, chemically and otherwise, and handle things differently. So
that's crazy. Okay, I got a question for you. Which kid is your favorite? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just
kidding. Listen. No, seriously though, I have a kid. So the oldest boy is a lot like me. So personality wise, we're different. He's sort of introverted, very nervous. And I am obviously a little bit more, boisterous and kind of out there. But behavior wise and anxiety wise, I understand him better. Right. I understand why he does the thing that he does. So that helps me when I sort of deal with him. Jess is actually a lot like the middle kid, where their behaviors and how they handle things are very similar, so that she gets them a little bit better. But our personalities, mine and his, are extremely similar. Like dancing in public, I embarrass Jess all the time. And then the youngest kid, she is just her own person,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I appreciate them for all of their different, all the different value and whatnot. And depending on the situation, they are my favorite kid in that moment, right? So
Yeah.
it's nice because I would hate to hate one of my
Right.
kids in real
Yeah,
life.
that would suck. Honestly, that was
Who's
a
your
very good
favorite kid?
answer. That was a
Thank
very,
you.
very good answer. I did not expect you to answer it at all.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was good.
Well, like playing sports, it's the oldest,
Yeah.
right? But listening to music, going somewhere is probably the middle kid,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And then basically doing any sort of imagination play is the
Yeah.
youngest kid. She can really get into it. Like for instance, this morning, she was sitting on my lap. I was sitting in a chair, and I just started patting her back, like as if I was burping her or something.
Yeah.
And she caught on immediately and did like a fake burp. It was
Oh,
the funniest
wow.
thing. 4 years old, dude, and just has this crazy, like, they all have different humor too,
Yeah.
which it really complements Jess and I because we're so different as well. So
Yeah. That's
we're
true.
our own little perfect family.
Yeah,
Yeah,
y'all have a cool family. I can't wait to meet the little
yeah,
kids. Okay, this is the last
they're
question though,
awesome.
for real. Uh,
Hmm.
Drake or Kanye, which album do you like better?
I don't listen to either of those guys.
What? You didn't hear
I
either of
really
them?
don't. No,
Oh man, you
no.
gotta listen
I
to them.
have zero interest.
Okay,
Big fat
well,
goose egg.
then I guess you
Um,
don't have to listen to them.
I know, right? I mean, talk to me about the next Rihanna album dropping whenever the fuck that is.
Never. She's never gonna
Never,
drop again.
absolutely not. She's just like hanging on to us forever, cliffhanger moments. But
Yeah, right.
um, what is something recent? So Billie Eilish, I am a fan
Okay.
of her
Okay.
music. She just dropped an album recently, which is good. And then I like a lot of random shit, like Haley Williams.
Never heard of her.
She's got super chill music from Paramore, lead
Uh,
singer of Paramore. She has her own music now. Well, okay, we're gonna have to share some stuff with each other.
yeah,
Yeah, the whole like Drake and Kanye thing, not like no,
just not
not
into
into
it.
it.
Yeah,
Just not into it. Yeah, I'm just big on like R&B acoustic, slower stuff that I can sing, or either
okay.
super fast stuff.
I feel that. I like
Calvin
that stuff.
Harris. Yeah,
That's good stuff.
yeah.
You don't seem like a Calvin Harris kind of gal, but whatever.
I love a good ass beat, especially because my truck, I'm like obsessed with my truck and it's
Oh
got
yeah, yeah.
fantastic bass and stuff. So anything that really gets that going. But rap, I just can't, you know, I'm not a feminist or anything like that, but constantly rapping about titties and ass, like I'm all
Yeah.
right. And Drake is kind of whiny for me
Yeah.
too.
No, I get that. I get that.
So yeah.
This album is a little bit, well, I wouldn't say different, but the beats are cool. I'm more into rap for the beats
Okay.
than the lyrics.
Yeah.
There are some lyricists that I admire and I like, but these guys are just really for the beats. Like I'm not gonna listen to what Kanye has to say. You know what I'm saying? Like it has no application to my life.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
Same with Drake.
I mean, there are certain songs like with Meg Thee Stallion and Nicki Minaj that I can really get down. I can really get down with it, but it's got to be nasty. Like I like super nasty ass music, or I'm just like in love and happy with R&B. Right? There's not really, because I used to listen to like Kevin Gates, like that kind of nasty shit. Yeah. So yeah, it depends on my mood. Because I also, listen to rock music on occasion as well.
Yeah.
It's huge into rock.
I like that. What about country? Do you like country? Or is that like a no-go? No? Okay.
No. So when I moved up to Ohio, that was probably one of my favorite fucking things. I could go somewhere and like they're playing jazz or like acoustic music, not country.
Yeah.
If I want country, I have to go to Texas Roadhouse. That's it. I don't have to listen to it. I don't have to listen to it if I don't want to.
That's good. Yeah, it's everywhere over here.
It's everywhere.
Literally
I don't miss
everywhere.
It at all.
Okay.
I literally don't miss it.
So. I'm gonna play some country music when I go down there.
Yeah. No thanks. Yeah. Well, and so the oldest, he actually loves music in general. He's actually extremely musical. So he will literally make up a song with a different melody from a different song. Right.
What? That's cool.
Yeah, no, dude is crazy. Like I'm trying to get him to play an instrument or something. But he likes some country music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What instrument?
Yeah, so
what do you think?
I don't know, because he actually does like to sing and he's got this like really nice raspy thing going on. So we were thinking like a guitar, probably. He had brought up a trumpet. I don't think he'll be into that. But yeah, I think guitar or drums. Actually, drums, the rhythm that comes with that is actually really good for like traumatized kids and stuff as well.
Really?
Yeah, something repeatable is
Oh,
so. And same thing with the guitar, right? The strumming of the guitar. So, one of those.
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll
But he's
encourage
got to
that.
like it because I'm not I'm not paying all that money for him to give that shit up.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna have to commit to it.
Yeah, that's true. You gotta approach it a certain way. It's
Yeah.
my mom made me take piano lessons. I really didn't want to go. She made
Mm,
me, which is like kind of like a motherly thing. Sometimes you do have to be forced into stuff to do it, to figure out if you like
right.
it or not. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, I didn't like the lessons, but I loved playing the piano. And then I just stopped. And then
Mm,
I regret it, obviously, now. But it's just really the way you approach it as a mother. And like, I think you'll
no,
really like
totally.
this. So, but I'll encourage
Yeah.
that. I can't wait to see the little guys and girl. I'm
Hmm.
freaking excited to go visit you guys and have a good time.
Yeah. We're
Thank you.
excited to have you.
Yeah, I'm freaking pumped. Taylor wanted me to tell you hi, you and Jess.
Hey, Taylor.
She said, I just talked to her on the phone before, and she said, tell them I said hi and tell them I miss them and I can't wait to see them. And I was like, I think I'm just gonna say the hi part, but okay.
Yeah, we're seriously excited, and I hope you're ready to get beat up. I don't know if you've met AC, my little sister's boyfriend, but they were
Mm-mm.
just murdering him with pillows. They love a good
Really?
pillow fight. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
That
get
sounds good.
ready. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm excited. Well, thank you, Sam, for joining me, and I appreciate it. Oh, do you have a shout out your social medias or anything you would like people to check out?
No, I mean, yeah, you shout out my TEDx. That's what I usually do, and my Twitter. So,
I'll
I mean,
link them both.
Samara Williams, right? I'm gonna have my name on there. So just Google that. It's not super common. Yeah.
Yeah. You need to get that keep your shit safe patent and make a
Really
shirt. Make a shirt.
make some fucking t-shirts.
Yes.
Yeah, like a coaster. I love coasters. Totally.
That's hilarious.
I love coasters. Yeah.
That's so funny. Alrighty, Sam. Thank you so much for joining me, and have
All right,
a good
man.
day. We'll see you soon.
You too.
All right. Bye.
Bye.